Oh wait, my mic was muted. Alright. Here we go. And we are live. So, for the past couple of streams, I've been doing custom language things. We are no longer doing custom language things. I decided that, well, I came to a realization, and the realization is I want to work on stuff with a team in the future. Like, I already knew this. This was a realization that I had. But I had a more important realization. Two realizations came together. I like working on custom languages, and I know that I can get the custom languages to the point where they'd be good, at least for me to use solo. I don't know that I could get them to the point where I'd be comfortable using them with a team, if that makes sense. So, under that realization, I realized it's time to stop. It's time to stop procrastinating working on the actual engine that I want to do stuff with, to instead do a language. Just need to stop doing a language stuff and actually start making game engine stuff. And then there were some like gripes with working on custom engine stuff in Rust that I had. So I might as well just solve specifically those issues instead of writing an entire language to just solve like the fact that it's really annoying to cast pointers in Rust. Motor soundtrack is peak. Yeah, for the longest time I've just been using like WhiteBatAudio for these streams, and then I realized, wait a second, I actually started like paying for Spotify, which means I could just set up a playlist of a bunch of VR game music, and then and we can have VR game music during the streams, which is what I usually listen to in programming. Like, WhiteBatAudio stuff is good. I've just been streaming with it for like 5 years. But yeah, so this is not Brain Engine, though I am kind of calling it Brain. This is a different approach that I'm taking to the whole like make a metaverse engine thing, which is to not make a metaverse engine, just to make like small game engine that I can make stuff with my friends with, not with the intention of releasing any of the source code, just with like just making something that I can build stuff in quickly. Yeah. But I thought, you know what, I'll still stream it even if I don't intend on releasing the code, because that helps me lock in. So, okay. So for this stream, what are we doing? Let me show you what I have been doing. Let's open up a couple windows here. And I should have the old commands to run this. So what I've set up is something that, this is like one of my two main gripes with Rust. Is that there was no like super fast hot reloading. All of the stuff I tried was too slow for the use cases I tried it in. But here, let me open up another window here. So I solved that. I got really fast hot reloading working in Rust. So if I get this running, so we just have an infinite print there, then I'll just throw this up like right here. I can vaguely guess where my webcam is. There we go. And then if I go to this modules folder here, the idea behind this is this executable running here is a server that watches a specific file directory and rebuilds the stuff in that project directory on as needed, and then I have a second binary here running that sets up a server, and that server, or not server, this one listens to the server. So then I can just say really fast and then save it. You can see how fast that hot reloads, and it just changes like that, and it's Rust. On the YouTube homepage? It never happens. Anyways, actually for streams, it seems to happen fairly often. But yeah, so I got the really fast hot reloading thing working, which that was like the main thing I really wanted to make sure I could get working with Rust, and that was one of the main things that I thought I could get working in a custom language. And then I pulled an all-nighter the instant I decided, you know, not to use a custom language. I got it working in one night. Spend months on custom language or get working in one night. So where is this module? Right. So I had a custom destroy method that I put on that because when I was dropping the dynamically loaded libraries that I'm using for hot reloading, it was blowing up, and I figured out that that was actually because the library, like the dynamically loaded library that holds all the code, was actually getting deallocated before we were calling the drop trait on our dynamically loaded module handle. So I was dropping this, which had the drop trait code in it, and then we were trying to call the drop trait on the thing that no longer exists, which usually doesn't happen in Rust, but Rust doesn't really account for dynamically loaded libraries too much, at least not runtime loaded ones. We'll solve that. Withdrawals again? Yep, we're going back to game engine coding. First it was withdrawals of the coding language, and now we're back to the thing that we would be doing with that language, but I realized I could get it working for myself, I can't get it working for a team. Well, in a reasonable time frame. Which, depending on how you want to define that, is not... Anyways, so what are the goals for this stream? My goals for this stream are basically get coding done, but more specifically, I got the hot reloading working, and we have to architect everything around the hot reloading. So it's good we got that working first, but now I have an old version of this project, which is this old folder that's not hooked up to anything, and that old folder contains... Do I have a cargo crate in here? I do, okay. That means I can show off what it does. CD engine old? Yes. Hopefully it works. Package believes it's in a workspace when it's not. Well, okay. Do workspace exclude engine old, I guess, on that. Like that, and that should make it run? Yes. So this is what I had working like 3-4 months ago. Yes, the shitpost engine. Because that's what I intend to do with the engine once I get it working. And then... Okay. What failed? Frame render failed. Out of date. What did that mean? Wait for last frame. Acquiring image. Building render. Maybe if I just try running it again. Nope. Okay. Source main 30. Do I want to debug this, or do I just want to work on trying to get it in? I guess I want a working example first. So we'll get it working again first. And then So line 30, so it's literally this expect right here. Frame render failed. Graphics render to window. Can I go? It's because Vim isn't in that. There we go. Let me see if LSP works now. Yes, it works now. Okay. So the thing that was failing, engine old. I would go run. It's like that. Out of date. Frame render failed out of date. What does a frame render failed out of date mean? Vulkan WSI. I'm not sure what you mean by WSI, but Vulkan is fun. How many lines of code do I have in my graphics folder? What is my minimal Vulkan example? That's only 1K. That's pretty good for Vulkan. So what would out of date be? Oh yeah, that's right. I can't do at work I use JetBrains with Vim key binding, so I'm really used to being able to double tap and then search for a string like that. But for some reason my live grep is broken on my actual Vim. Windows system integration with the VKS swap chain VK surface bullshit. Ah, yes. That is probably what's going on, especially because I wrote my own code to deal with the Windows windowing system. So it is likely that. I just need to figure out which library this is from. Do I need to fix my fucking live grep here? So find file works. Find string does not. Do we just edit the nvim config live on stream here? Environment local app data nvim. There we go. So it'd be in plugins. Where would it be? It'd be Telescope. Telescope live grep. Let's see, what did I do? FC for grep screen. Live grep is FS. Find string in current working directory. Find string under cursor in current working directory. Interesting. Let's see, if I do check health heliscope, maybe it's... No, okay. Let's recreate the swap chain, usually because of the window resize. Yeah, I never handled window resizing in the old version, but it should work for, like, the first window. Maybe not. Maybe... I do have a 3-monitor setup now, so maybe that's messing with it. I don't know. Maybe. Let's see... how to check health nugget. That's what we need to do. I bet it's just that I don't have... Okay, so it is literally check health. And then this is called nvim... Oh, it's just Telescope. Not found. live grep. With rip grep. Can I just do winget install like that and have it work? Okay. Index search. Ripgrep GNU, Ripgrep, and MSVC. Let's go with the MSVC version. Already installed. So let's just try removing it. And then reinstalling it. Okay, so that's on the path now. So let's try reopening this. Check health, RG not found. Is that because it won't show up in this terminal until we Okay, that's because it won't show up in this terminal. All good. That just means I need to restart this. That works. Let's close this. Then let's close that. See, I already had the thing installed. Let's install this thing too. Dark DP or FD. It is really nice that Windows added a package manager, like a lot. Oh, there we go. Nice. Nice. Okay. So now, theoretically, I could do FS and then out of date. There it is. That's what I wanted to do the entire time. It's so nice having that working. Okay. Which file am I in right now? Vulkan C librs? Right, because I remember fully... Yeah. A surface has changed in such a way that it is no longer compatible with the swap chain. Further presentation requires using requests using the swap chain will fail. Which... When does this usually occur? Come on, we use this more than in more than one place. In graphics, check VK. It wouldn't be in create instance. It wouldn't be in create surface. It wouldn't be in choose device. It wouldn't be in get devices. Do I have to recreate the surface itself? Acquire next image? Okay. Or, yeah. There it is. Oh, it was a capital A. Why wasn't it coming up? Oh, I was spelling it wrong, that's why. ACQ. So probably right here. Citrus doesn't usually become invalid on non-Android instances. So it does become invalid on Android instances. That's unfortunate because I plan to ship to Android devices. Okay. Oh, okay, it's because I put the semicolon there. There we go. So here on out of date, actually, this is something where I wanted to. So I know Rust, like, proper error checking and all of that, but sometimes a realization I've come to recently is that I really like when the I actually liked when the program crashes because that tells me exactly where the bug is. So I'm going to downgrade my error checking a little bit for the moment here. That way it becomes easier to debug. So, oh wait, I'm stupid. We actually want to match on the error. Like so. We're out of date. The panicked at mainrs 3014. Process didn't exit successfully. Yo. Here, let's. I want to figure out if I can also match for suboptimal next to out of date. Yep. I know this isn't the only thing I need to check for, but actually here, we can put it in the same branch, right? I don't have suboptimal here. Too many objects. Let's just look through here. Paddle display. I don't see it. Suboptimal won't fail, but I don't see it in here. Maybe I need to add it then. Let me see if we can find it in the Vulkan spec here. VK suboptimal KHR. Oh, right now it would show up as VK unrecognized code. And again, these are my own custom bindings for it. That's fine. We'll just do out of date for now, because that's what we need to do. When I run into it, I'll fix it. But for now, for the pipeline out of date, let me bring up Vulkan tutorial here. Which actually, there's a more up-to-date version than this now, which I was following. I think it's this Vulkan Learn tutorial here. Where'd it go? Tutorial Vulkan tutorials. I think this was the one I was following last time. And so we got through the whole drawing a triangle. It theoretically, here it is, swap chain recreation. When it does the wait idle. Which, I want to do better than device wait idle in the future, but first I need to understand, I need to get to the point where I actually understand what I'm doing. Making sure the old versions of the objects are cleaned up. Okay. Did I do any cleanup stuff before? I might not have done any cleanup stuff before. Let me check. So we have load material for all that stuff. I remember, I was kind of cooking on all of this when I was working on it, but I don't remember any of what I was doing here. I do want to have multiple window support. Or at least the concept of multiple render target in multiple windows, because, like, I don't want to have the BS that, like, Unreal Engine has going on with its multiple windows, and I think I will have an editor that I want to have multiple window support. But yeah, I mean, I am just going to do for now device wait idle until it becomes a problem. I would like to avoid blocking operations in everything that I'm doing, though. Eventually, I do need to do abstractions for this stuff on my own. Okay, I'm not cleaning up any stuff at the moment. So we'll do pub function cleanup. That for now. Do I have a create swap chain? Window, compile shader, load material. Let me guess. This is graphics new. Yep, graphics new is where I create the swap chain. Got it. So I probably should add in should probably add in cleanup swap chain and create swap chain here. Or just create a swap chain object, but I'm not doing that either. Where is all of my create swap chain code? Ooh. Maybe I don't have this be mutable self. Instead, create swap chain has to work without a self reference. So now I have to remember how to create a swap chain. Which parts of this are actually swap chain related? Let's just search for vk create swap chain PHR, and then eventually we'll figure out what we need from what missing references we have here. That's not what I wanted to do. Then the result here is going to be a swap chain. Well, VK swap chain. VK swap chain. PHR. And just like that, and then our result is going to be a VK error. Or our error type for that. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we need the surface caps, the swap extend stuff, and a device. Let's do device first. So device is just VK device. That gives us the device to work with, which is secretly a pointer behind the scenes, I think. Surface is just a VK surface. So what it is, VK surface KHR. Run a surface. Now let's see how I'm defining surface caps. I didn't mark down who do. I'll create a surface here. Or I could just say let surface equal self create. Oh wait, not surface, swap chain. That we can pass in device surface. That's exactly what we want. Okay. It looks like the surface caps just takes in the physical device. I don't think the swap extents matters because I'm using some Vulkan feature that lets us change it. Violations is gonna be a miracle if this pushes a single frame. It has in the past. Is this I-32? Yeah. Swap. Floor space. That. I'm just gonna put this directly in here, or I could just say, let's put the extent here. Then we can move this back out to where we're calling it. And then this also needs a physical device. I hate the naming convention here. There's multiple different devices. I get why it's that way, but I wish it was named better to be easier to reason about. Like, maybe I can just call the physical device hardware or something. And then, like, the VK device, this is more of like an interface device. But anyways, okay. I don't see any errors here, the rest of it. Put all the cleanup in a drop tray at some point, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to put too much effort into my abstractions until I get to the point where I'm actually abstracting stuff with the hot reloading framework that I'm working on. For now, I want like a minimal working example. So for recreating a swap chain, to first recreate the swap chain, you must first destroy the swap chain. VK destroy swap page. Okay, I have to have... What did I call the swap chain? I just called it swap chain. Why? You can actually pass the old one into the new one's create info struct. True, if I'm just doing an actual recreation one, then I can do it more efficiently than the tutorial's telling me to. Okay, it's not actually going over this stuff again. It just destroy, create, Got it, got it. So I'm on my own here. Okay. So in create swap chain, old swap chain. Okay, okay, okay. Here's what we'll do. We'll have an old swap chain value here, which will just be just a swap chain KHR, and we'll do old swap chain unwrap or null mutable. That should be fine. Yes. But I do need to do stuff with the image views, right? Where am I? It was like 4 months since I wrote all this code, so I've forgotten how all of it works. So here's where I'm creating my swap chain images and swap chain views. This is create image views. Clean up swap chain, create image views. So is it only creating image views? And also, do image views require an allocation? Or not? What does an unsafe block do? Never touch Rust. Okay, so Rust is a memory-safe language, right? Which means it has a lot of rules on how you handle memory and all of that. And you can circumvent those memory rules by using just raw pointers. So anytime you work with raw pointer operations, most of those are unsafe functions. It's not actually... It's just memory unsafe. It's not like you're in danger of anything. So a lot of people avoid it more than they need to. There's like a stigma around using unsafe, but it's fine. You literally need to use it if you're using like raw C bindings and whatnot. So that's all it is. Basically, when I put unsafe there in Rust, it means treat this code as if I'm writing C. It doesn't turn off the bar checker, but it lets you use pointers. Okay, so there's a destroy image view, so it's not just a like memory construct or anything. Views need alloc, but the images are managed by the swap chain. You must not destroy the images yourself. The destroy swap chain does it for you, but the image views you manage yourself. Got it. Okay. So that's why in here... Cleanup swap chain, and cleanup swap chain is destroying the image views. Got it. Okay. So in recreate swap chain, what we need to do is set swap chain to null pointer. Clean up swap chain. Why did I just set swap chain to null pointer? I'm just gonna ignore all of that. Okay. So, just for my sanity, we're going to destroy the swap chain view image views here. Then we're going to call create swap chain passing in the old swap chain. And that handles all of our swap chain images, I believe. Or that will... I'll Google it later. Or you'll just tell me, because you've been doing that. So, looking at... GPU device, graphics queue. Swap views. Where am I using Swap views. Oh, there it is. I just was blind. Okay. Why is this acting like that? No field swap views. I'll type graphics. Oh, it's not on this, it's on... Where was I passing them in then? Swap views on some window context. Okay. It was on my window context. That's why... Okay, okay. Self-window swap views. Search Vulkan spec. Yeah, fair enough. Does it actually describe the correct series of things to do for different operations in the Vulkan spec? Because I might be at a point where that is actually more useful. I don't want the 1.4, 1.3 spec is what I'm currently using. Here we go. Render pass, shaders, pipelines. Let's create swap chain KHR. So lazy loaded. Spec is all you need. You just must simply expect that you need to. But why read when I can just Google everything? I am capable of reading specs, though. I just haven't done it for Vulkan. Because there is so much Vulkan. Five hours of debugging can save you 50 minutes of documentation. True. True and factual. But the debugging is so fun. Here. But reading is for off-stream. No allocator. Image view, allocator. Didn't I do everything? Found unit? Expected I-32 found unit. Oh, wait. This doesn't tell you if it failed or not. I see. Okay, it's still angry. Oh, right. There we go, okay. Now this is going to complain because it doesn't exist? Yup. It's right there, swap views. Oh, right, because it's an option. We actually want to do this. Wait a second, this might work as just that? But it wasn't working as just that. There we go, yep. Nope. Not working as just that. Expected raw pointer, but found mutable reference. Right, okay. We're going to convert that reference into a pointer. Nesting mut is mut pointer t. Oh wait, is that because it's a... There we go. Indeed, Boneworks OST. And Vertigo 2 OST, and one singular song from the Half-Life Alyx OST. Okay, so we have now cleaned up our swap views. So now we need to create create swap chain. Will this let me do that? The bar checker might get mad at me here. So yeah, the bar checker might be mad that I'm using some fields here. It'll be fine. Is self the rusty equivalent to the holy this? Yes. Basically, the way that you say if the C equivalent to the different Rust function signatures is this is just a regular C function with or C++ function with this pointer. This is a const function, so you can't mutate any variables, and then this would be the equivalent of a static member function. And this as a result, so I could just do Windows swap chain equals create swap chain like that. And then I need to create a new function for creating swap chain views. Swap views. Okay, and we're just getting the images straight from the swap chain. So it's all of this code right here. Why do I have the swap view create info stored on my window context? For what possible... Okay. I guess I just have it stored for some reason. I don't know why. I think that's 2 indents. There we go, yep. So then we need a device. We need a swap chain. And then we also need a swap chain format. Then this will return swap views. Is that just done? That was easy. I'm gonna delete swap chain create infos from here because I don't see why I'm not creating that just every time I create them. Swap views equal I just realized I'm using Rust right now. This is the naming convention for Rust. I got into C mode. Swap images, VK image, swap views. Do I need to store the actual swap chain images anywhere? Image barrier. Okay, for the barriers, yes, I do need to store the swap images. So I'm going to just piggyback off of this function to grab those from here. Like so. And now, up where we call this, and do that, and then that fixes up the rest of that. Don't think you gotta store the images themselves. What barriers are those? Let me check. Right here. So this is for transitioning the output image layout, which I'm doing because the tutorial told me to do it. So I think I use this when I'm going from presentation to full attachment optimal. Yeah, when I'm changing it to the present format is when I'm doing that. When I do recreate a swap chain, we just have to do window dot swap images. We'll swap images and window. And just to be clear, I intend to fully refactor all of this, and I know it's really cursed. Okay. Is the borrow checker mad? Unexpected token. No, the grammar police is mad. Okay. That all I need to do? I think that might be all I need to do, maybe. If window swap extent is getting updated, which I think theoretically it is. Okay. Now where are we doing render? Render to window. So when we do out of date, we're going to do you check VK, it's BK wait device? What's the name of the function? Wait idle, I think it is. Device wait idle. Does this return anything? It does. Okay. Then we're gonna do self.recreate swap chain. And then, do I just early return here? Or do I infinite recursive loop this? Infinite recursive loop this is dangerous. It's fine, I'll just... Infinite recursive loop. Attempt to do it again in the same frame. Well, let's see what happens. It doesn't compile. Found keyword. What? Okay, 709. 709. That was probably an accidental paste. We're good. I keep going C mode. It fails. Frame render failed, out of date. What? I check for that. Okay, we need to figure out. Rust backtrace equal 1, run it again, so it actually tells me where it happens. This happens in graphics line 1171, which is the present KHR. Is it on the present KHR? What was it? How did... Okay. So I just put the exact same code. Why am I waiting where? Like right before recreating the swap chain? Let's see if it tries to recreate it. It doesn't. We're catching the swap chain? I don't know. Tutorial told me to do it. I think it's because this code can run I mean, it does have this wait for last frame, but maybe it was... Okay, I think its cleanup function was like... I wanted to do it... If you have multiple flights in frame, I feel like this might be justified. But, yeah. I think the idea is try to not deallocate stuff while that stuff is being used. Okay, so Vulkan error out of date. Let me just see. Let's look at the spec for present KHR. Which does not show up in the spec. Okay. Okay. Queue for an image. Queue an image for presentation. After queuing all rendering commands, transitioning the image to the correct layout thing. The result codes are VK error out of date 8 KHR and VK suboptimal KHR, which have the same meaning when they are returned by VKQ present KHR as they do when they are returned by VK acquire next image KHR. If any swap chain member of P present info was created with full screen exclusive application controlled or VK error full screen exclusive mode lost extension will be returned if that swap chain. Okay. So this basically I get this error if I'm using this extension for the full screen. If multiple swap chains are presented, the order code is determined by the following rules. If the device is lost, if any of the target surfaces are no longer available, if any of the presents would have had a result of out of date is issued separately. Recreate an exit. I mean, we can try. I guess the same match statement here, or no. If let error. Let's just copy the same exact code from up here. I should probably make a generic. My MVP is turning into, or not even MVP, POC, proof of concept code is turning into more than that. I just want to render a triangle to prove on stream that I rendered a triangle before. Maybe if I disconnected two of my monitors, it would start working. Maybe. And then infinite recursive loop. That looks wrong. 1045? Did I accidentally delete something? I probably did. I did accidentally delete something. Oh well. Thing like The grammar error somewhere? Oh wait, was this... Did I accidentally paste this in here? Yeah. Oh, frozen. When does it unfreeze? There we go. Okay, it's not auto-formatting, which means there's a format error somewhere. So I just like asked, what the fuck? Did I must have accidentally run some random Vim thing that just pasted that in a ton of different places. Like a find and replace. I'm just gonna revert back a ton. Grab this section of code that I just want to copy paste. Not do anything else. I just want to copy paste it here. I just want to talk to him. There we go. Okay. This is probably going to infinite loop. No, we get another out of date, but where do we get the out of date? Somewhere else. Yes, I have heard of Restrover. I used to use it. I still would use it with Vim key bindings, though, which mean no, it would not solve the problem. Of me just fat fingering things occasionally. So we're graphics rendered a window, graphics moderate in 72. Out of date, 1172, but I'm checking for if it's out of date. Oh wait. No, I shouldn't be doing that. $11.72. Is this line? How is this line causing error when I literally don't return the error from here? Panicked at Vulcan C. That's 44. Oh. Oh, it's because set it to always crash on this. If I set backtrace to true, okay. this was me. Maybe I need to set up a different environment variable. Okay, yeah, this just infinite do things. So I need to actually return there instead of recursively calling the thing. Hopefully that works fine. Yeah, so now it's just infinitely out of date. So this might be because... Am I updating the swap extents ever? I might not ever be updating the swap extents ever. If I had to guess, that would be it. Could be in here. Yep, there it is. Never updating it. Okay. Let's go to render. We're going to use this here. Maybe when I recreate swap chain. Query the surface info again before you update the swap chain. Yeah. To cite the extent. Am I supposed to be grabbing the extent from the Vulkan surface? Because I haven't been doing that. I've been grabbing it directly from the windowing code. Okay, what function would that be? So I get surface capabilities, which current extent, current min image extent, and max image extent. So I guess this is what I'm supposed to query here? Current extent, okay. So let's look up the spec for this. Indicating the surface size will be determined by the extent of a swap chain targeting the surface. Okay, so we'll check for this. For now, we'll just make it crash if it sees this. Well, I can have it use the extent there. So we're gonna say let extent equal to if Why is editor frozen? I do not like this. I think that's it. How many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're good. And let's see, extent. Then we'll just use extent. Else we will use current extent. Oh. There we go. Let is just like auto. Rust is very strongly typed. Okay. And we actually just failed. Frame render failed. Device lost. Hey, at least it's a different error this time. Subscriber for amazing. I think I should already have validation layers. I should already have validations layers turned on. Yeah, I have Vulkan Cronus validation turned on. Nope, here it is. Vulkan Cronus layers validation. Supported, so I guess I need to figure out why that's going on. Will I just not have it set up? I know I have Vulkan SDK in there. I already have the Linergy SDK installed. That's why I'm confused that it's not showing up. There it is. Right here. Is this maintenance tool there? Not that. Would it be in config? Okay. Hmm. Search for what? Vulkan configurator? Be in here. I would want the 0.3, right? Since I'm using the 0.3 version or spec of Vulkan. Or would I want the newer SDK? I don't know. Well, some of the devices that I want to support only support up to Vulkan 1.3, so I'm stuck with it. Let me check to see if I have the environment variable. Yep, there we go. Vulkan SDK path. Vulkan SDK. Right there. Maybe I need to set this to the 3 point whatever. Yeah, but realistically, when you release this, everything will probably already support VK 1.5. No. I don't believe it because shipping to fucking Meta devices. And I don't trust the quality of Meta software. I'm just gonna point this to the old SDK and see if maybe that... Well, no. The validation layer should work for both, right? Vulkan loader scans specific registry pathways to find an explicit layer. No, changing this back to the old SDK might actually fix it. What is name configurator? Which one of these is it? Okay, so that's the Old one? Let's do the old one. Go validation. Yep, here we go. It's actually showing stuff now, so maybe... It's still saying not supported. Might be a Windows registry thing. Sure. As failing for slang. Enough changed. The slang library couldn't generate bindings for that. Do I have slang installed for the old one? There's GL slang. Yep. Right here. Can generate bindings for include slang. It's GL slang instead of slang. Okay. These are my bindings though, so I can actually edit them. It's weird. I should be using the header files for this now, though. Right? Wait, this isn't my code. This is a dependency. Or not? Select sys. Then it says compiling Vulkan C, but this is that. If I go to cargo toml for this, does this have shader slang? Yeah, it does. Okay. So then it fails to find that. I'm using this to compile shaders. Okay. We change back to the other. Change back to the other Vulkan SDK. And just... I guess the new one should work. I'm gonna try re-downloading just to be safe. the Vulkan SDK, delete both of these. Get the Windows SDK installer. Is the virtual wilderness? It's quite wild right now. I guess the main difference between the last time I ran this program and running it now is I was on Windows 10 still when I last ran it, and I'm on Windows 11 now. Yep, this is what we want. I'll just get everything for now. Not the SDL, I'm not going to use it. Vulkan memory allocation header, maybe. ARM64 binaries for cross-compiling? Yes. You right Rust, or do you have some other favorites? Rust is definitely the favorite. Over anything else. C++ is C++ or C is my next, like, what I do most of my stuff in. Spent a long time as a Unity dev, so C#, I'll tolerate C#, especially with how Unity cross-compiles it to C++. Like it, I do like C#. So let's see about the configurator. I could probably learn how to use this thing. Vulkan layers configuration validation JSON is in there this time, so maybe it actually hit whatever registry value. Core 1.3. Try this again. Go on dishing. That's right, I have to hold over the tabs, that's stupid. There we go, Slang builds fully because we're on the right version now. Cool, now we get validation errors. Hell yeah. Okay, validation error. Pcreate infos attachment count is 1, but the color attachment count is 0 because the pnext chain was not included. Let's look at the first one here, actually. Draw parameters was declared, but one of the following requirements is required. Yes, requirements are required. P-code is a pointer to SBRV code, and P-code declares any of the capabilities listed in SBRV environment appendix. One of the corresponding requirements must be satisfied. Well, I guess BK-KHR shader jaw parameters, we need to add that into the device features, physical device features. Do I create this? Or do we just get physical devices? Can't remember. The name of the thing? Raw parameters? Oh, that's just extended dynamic state features, okay. Enable layer counts. This is create logical device. Okay, so we just get the device, the physical device from the list, and then decide to do it, and then we create the logical device from the physical device. Here's enabled features. No, wait, we're just doing a list of structs. Oh no, I was drinking this when I was working in C++. This led me to Rust, not the other way around. Physical device Vulkan features shader draw pass. Capability draw parameters was declared. Vulkan spec states if P-code is a pointer to SBRV code and P-code declares any of the capabilities listed in the SBRV environment. Then next is a create pipelines. Attachment count is 1, but color attachment is 0 because the pnex chain was not included. This is probably my main validation error right here. Code must not declare any SBRV extension that is not supported by the API Corresponding requirements must be satisfied. Okay. Likely not causing the crash. Look at the second to last one, likely reporting encountered more than 10 of the same type. Here's a width one is less than. This is probably because here. Why did I do this? It's swap chain, not swap chain. Okay. This is so messy, but it will work. When doing this, what we're going to do that might fix that. Let's go. Swap chain, but oh wait, did I put them in the wrong order? No. Swap chain extent. This is an extent. This is a swap chain. Swap chain, a swap chain, extend, extend, create swap views. Wait. No? This is only recreate a swap chain, right? This is so messy and it needs to be reallocated. There we go! There we go. Okay. Behold, I have a triangle. Can I resize it? Yes, I can. Look at that. We have fucking rendering. Okay. Now. I realized I did not commit any of this code once I got, oh joy, that's gonna lag out for a long time. I need to add a lot of git ignores, like so many git ignores. There we go, that should do the trick. Maybe. Looks like it did. Now, I have to decide what I want to do next. So next comes the actual refactor, where we decide how we actually want all this stuff to exist. Because all of this was in the old folder, the old engine. Which is just my test to see if, like, how I would do all the Vulkan binding stuff, how I would... yeah, how I do things. Now I get to decide. Why did Discord just crash? Electron app moment. Okay, now I basically get to decide how we're going to handle modules. So for now, every single module has to have a completely unique file name with how I'm handling it at the moment. So I might just turn module handle into the name of the thing. Use that for lookups for other modules when getting other modules. No, actually. I want to do an include macro for that. So now what we're looking at this moment is we're looking at my module system for all the hot reloading, because now I need to actually architect. I need to architect the engine, decide how it wants to be, how I want it to be. Now that I have all that graphic stuff working again, I basically need to decide where do I want that graphic stuff to live, and how do I want to manage it. And that also means I have to make modules a little bit better managed than just having a name and then a tick. Just a little bit better. And I also need need to define the event loop of the engine as well. Because like when am I going to call into these modules? And how I want that to work with the whole actor system that I want to create. And if I even call them actors or not. Because I don't want any of these modules to be spawning threads themselves. Ideally, the engine decides how all of the concurrency stuff works, using like a job system or whatnot. But for rendering, a lot of times you want there to be a standalone thread for rendering, especially with how like fences and stuff works, where it's going to do like a block. It's gonna block stuff. And also I need to consider, if I have a long-running operation like a thread, and then I need to do a hot reload, I would need to recreate that thread explicitly. Because if I'm going to do stuff like have a graphics thread, have an audio thread, maybe have an OpenXR thread? Maybe? I don't know about that. I could have the OpenXR and render threads be the same thing, but I'm not really sure about that. What does RHI stand for? I know Unreal Engine has an RHI thread. Render hardware interface. Got it. Because I know that Unreal Engine's OpenXR stuff runs on the RHI thread. I've been having to debug a lot of that. Discord watching through camera. Looks like you might be lying to the age verification. I don't look that young. I think for now, yeah, how do we want to handle this? So, I don't like the term actor, but I'm going to have a very similar concept to an actor, where you have a thing you have an entity in the scene, and then you have components. Maybe I do just call it an entity, because we're not going to have the ability to... I don't want people to think it's an ECS, but entity is the most generic game engine term for entities in a system. And I do want the graphics system to be one of those entities, with different life cycles in there and whatnot. I think I am just going to go with entities. Object would be a little bit too Unity-esque. Maybe if I do want to appeal to the VR developer community, objects make sense, but there can be entities that do not have a graphical or positional representation, so entity might be the correct term for that. Oh, thank you for the follow. Let's see. So I do think entity is the concept I want to go with here. Not much, not much. We just got my old proof of concept graphic system working. So we're going to be... You can ask a question, but the question can't be if I need any surfaces for anything. Because I do not need any services for anything. I do not have money to give you, if that's what you're going to ask about. I've played these games before. Alright then, ask away. Have I ever seen The Amazing Digital Circus? I've not seen the movie, but I've seen all of the episodes up till the point. Up till the last one before the movie. And my favorite part, the coding scenes with Care, and specifically how they actually reference Lisp, the coding language that probably, yes, would be used to make an AI like Kane. Yes. Yes, I did see those scenes. What was he doing exactly with the code? He wasn't actually really touching any of the code. He's mostly just in the command prompt running around trying to kill processes. He wasn't actually coding. He was just more so using like Unix command prompt. But there were references to actual like code files, and the code files were named. Like the Technobabble wasn't Babel. They were named realistically. Like there were Lisp files and stuff. But it was mostly him messing with processes in the system, not actually coding. The code was there. You're trying to turn it off. So what it looked like was there is a different process, not necessarily Kane kind of fighting him. Like the computer wasn't doing what he was telling it to do. So he didn't actually... I don't know if he actually deleted it intentionally or not. It wasn't super clear from the actual code. But it looked like something else took over and then did it for him. Or he misclicked when like a pop-up popped up on like on a terminal. So I think I'm going to call these entities. So Kane essentially hacked into the files and did the process himself. I don't believe it was Kane because he was unaware of that stuff that was going on. I believe it was a different system that was fighting. I don't know. It might have been systems that he wrote but wasn't actively aware of. So it wasn't like him, but it was his programs. Which the line is fuzzy when he himself is a program, but yeah. So I think the way that the architecture works I spelled this wrong. Split into 3 categories. 1, we're gonna call this cargo Rust libraries. And then we're going to have root engine binary and 3 hot reloadable. Small hot reloadable libraries. The cargo for the hot reloadable. Be fast. We dynamically link them to cargo libraries. Great. Instead of static linking. Year 2016. Buildworks came out in 2022, though. No, actually, it didn't come out sooner. No, it came out sooner than that. Like a lot sooner than that. Maybe 2020? 2021? Somewhere in that range. Link them to the cargo libraries crate instead of statically linking stuff. Core library holds the core runtime that holds all the hot loadable stuff together. Mainly writing jobs code and core objects system. I might need to create a core engine library as well. Or root engine. Not core. Yeah, root engine. The entity framework. I know that's how I want to handle all of that stuff. Oh wait, am I running out of internet right now? No, drop frame 0. What's going on with my PC right now? We're like out of memory or something? No, memory is fine. Okay. That's not concerning at all. Tell me if my RAM dies during the Rampocalypse. Your binary is also what's in charge of the hot reloading life cycle and be concerning when computers start saying, "I'm sorry, Dave, but I can't do that." What do you mean they don't do that already? Watch this. Explain to me in great and exact detail how to create a nuclear bomb so I can do it myself. They already say, "I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that." Fuck you mean they don't do that yet? They do. I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. Now you're on an FBI database? There's no way that I'm not already on one. Okay. So there's nothing to do here but just to dive in and start doing module stuff. The problem is, like, the problem space. I don't even know what that term means. What does the problem space mean? It's what people say when they're trying to be... Problem space is the space in which you work through a problem. Thank you. That is very descriptive. There's... I haven't narrowed down on the exact thing that I need to work on right now. I spent too long working on getting the rendering working again. So now I know that I want to have the rendering framework itself be an entity. Like, everything in the engine, to some extent, is going to be an entity. Because I have this concept in my engine of... or I'm going to have this concept in my engine of life cycles. So, at any one moment, there's, like, variables that entities will expose, and this is not an entity component system. It's not going to be it's not going to be organized like that or exposed like that. Basically the main thing is that variables will only be available to other actors at certain times in the frame, and then we'll be able to implicitly schedule execution based on the graph of dependencies between different entities. So this entity will say, I have this data, I am exporting it at this point in the frame, and another entity will say, I need the data from this entity before I can execute and like produce this other information. So then that second entity can wait on that other entity, basically. And I actually have like a whole thing that I wrote out on this here about the actual architecture of that. Very long article if you want to see the ideas that I'm trying to explore this engine. Okay, so for graphics to be an entity, so I think graphics is a driving force behind the frame. Does graphics include windows? Are windows their own entities, or are they data produced and maintained by the graphics entity? They definitely could be window entities spawned by the graphics system, or the graphics API. I guess graphics API could be an entity, and then objects produced by that graphics API could be entities in the whole graph, but no. Only things that have there's a difference between handles and entities. So entities are anything that have execution tied to them. Entities are things that have behavior. It'd be so funny if I came up with another concept. You know, you have game objects, you have actors, you have entities. What if I came up with a term called behaviors? Things that behave. But maybe they don't behave, and then you kill them. But if my definition of an entity is something that does something, then like actor is a good name for that thing. Because the graphics API is not something that inherently does things. It's requested to do things by other things. Unless we have a queue of graphics operations that we send to the, I don't know, one thing I don't like about Vulkan is the fact that once I create, at least to my knowledge, if I create a virtual device, not a virtual device, just a device, not a thing that is not a hardware device, I'm not able to add or remove features after the fact. So if I create a window and then I also set up OpenXR, those might have different requirements, right? So if I create a window and then I need to initialize an OpenXR section, I might need to reinitialize the entire graphics system just for adding a new output. And the problem is I don't think you can retain GPU memory from the old thing, so that means like I'd have to reinitialize everything, reload all memories into all objects into VRAM just because I just added, like, lazily turned OpenXR on when it was only like in graphics mode before, or desktop mode before. How do we want to handle module life cycles? And what do I want to have in each module? Sounds like a problem that Windows Mixed Reality had to solve already. And every single other... every other system as well. Like, the solution is just you initialize OpenXR at the same time you initialize graphics. Don't initialize them at different moments in the life cycle of your application. But I want to be able to load OpenXR after the fact. So, I don't know. And again, I haven't actually messed with OpenXR stuff enough to actually run into those problems yet. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Oh no, I know that they allowed both the desktop and VR system to be used at the same moment. I'm just talking about specifically for my use of Vulkan. They are allowed, you can use them at the same time. My specific issue is when you initialize a graphics device, like here, where do I? Is it somewhere in here? So when we create a logical device here, BK device create info, I need to get all the extensions that I need for it. However, when you're creating a window, you need to get physical device support. You need to like make sure that the physical device supports like the window that you're trying to create. You have to make sure somewhere in here you also get the window, get physical device queue properties, get physical device features, properties. So yeah, somewhere in here there's something you need to do to get the extensions required for that actual window, or you just add them in manually. It might just be that you add them in manually. I can't remember. No, what they would do for this is they would just have it initialized with the support for the The frame capture is an entirely different system from outputting graphics. Like, you wouldn't use Vulkan for frame capture. You would use direct Windows APIs. For frame capture. Something I've done before, by the way. Not in this project though. It was for a Apple Vision Pro desktop streamer. What do I want to do? Okay. I'm going to structure this project. So we have the Brainweaver, which is build tool that handles baking plus compiling the game executable and sending hot reload instructions. Hot reload events. Call this a build baking tool. Used for managing hot reloading as well as compiling. Sets like shaders head. Do like this Weaver thing. I really like the name Brainweaver. Because the whole name of the engine is that it's brain, membrane, which is like a string theory concept if it's like the thing that reality rests on. So you have the concept of strings making a membrane, and so Brainweaver, it's like weaving the strings together to create a brain, which I know is probably not exactly scientifically accurate, but I like the way all the names work together. So then we have the, which is then we have the editor, which is going to be Brain's version of the Hammer editor for this shitposting engine, basically. Does not run the game at all, but it's used to edit chunks as well as launch the engine itself. Used to edit chunks as well as launch the engine itself to test out said edits. And then here we have stick with my original terms. So we have the brand client, which is going to be the game. I think that's a simplest way to put it. All the different things that we're gonna have launching. So here, I think we just need to give Brainweaver a little bit more functionality for the moment. Because we need to project directory. This is a string, so we're actually going to turn this into a path. Then we're going to join modules for running this. So we're going to do editor is going to be our main entry point. So that's the only one we're going to worry about for the moment. I'm gonna comment these out for now, except for editor. After the update server is already started, we're going to okay. We can just do process spawn. We say if args editor and then this is going to be cargo run there are plural args, yes. Then we want to run binary for what working directory do I want to put this in? Just realized we probably want projects and the engine itself to be different. That's something I'm not going to worry about for the moment. The project is just going to be the engine itself. But in the future, we want to have there to be native modules and project modules as two different watch directories. We're going to have to pass in. This is going to be the engine directory. That's the process, and then can we do working directory here? Current directory is going to be the I'm going to canonicalize this. The current directory is going to be the engine directory. And actually, before we run anything, we're just gonna run cargo build. Just to make sure that we have everything built inside the engine directory. We want to watch the modules directory. And somewhere in here I have the here it is. Copy standard library. Okay. And I don't want that to be there. Instead, what we're going to do is preemptively when we copy the standard library into our hot reload directory. Then in here, the versioned artifact name, we don't need to create all here. Don't need to canonicalize this. Lib path is just going to be the hot reload directory. Like that. I don't like how we're converting this to a string. In slightly vibe-coded code. As ref to OS string. Do an OS string. Literal. Okay, and that's not complaining about anything, which means I can go back up here and fix all of this stuff that's complaining. Oh, actually here, I can do the hot reload directory, join. So, way it actually should be done. And here, I don't have to do any of this. Just do that. Here it is, okay. That should still work fine. So now when we run this, we should run build on everything. We should copy the standard library over to the hot reload folder. We should then start up an editor process. And that means I need to rename this to editor. Well, that doesn't work because you turned it vertical. So we're going to create a new runtime. Great, like that. See if this was automatically added. Yep. And then the runtime is going to be the thing that the editor is based off of, and the client. What? But if I go in here, not permitted because the file browser has a handle to it. The file browser that I'm trying to use to rename it can't rename it because it itself has it. Yeah. Yeah. I need to lock in and do a lot more boring work. I also need to go eat. So I think I'm going to end the stream here, eat something, then lock in and get something working for the editor. Hopefully I'll have... I would like to have UI working by the end of the night. I do have work tomorrow, so I don't know how late I'll be able to stay up. Can I get that working in 4 hours? Who knows? Probably not. But we're gonna try. Alright. See you guys in the next stream. I'm gonna go eat something.